Hey, I'm Dan from Bastille, and this is how it went down with our song Joy. The genesis of Joy was when we were on tour, and then I got home and we had some time off over Christmas a couple of years ago, and I was working on some demos in my bedroom. The chorus melody and the line, "Oh Joy, when you call me," was the first thing that came, and it felt really happy for a Bastille song, which is weird. A lot of our music is, I guess, dressed up in euphoric sounding music and production, but actually is at its core incredibly depressing and pretty dark. So it felt like a lyric that sort of stood out as being a bit too positive, but it's fine because we dressed it up in like a very depressing setting. And then last year we ended up, just at the end of having finished what we thought was going to be the album, we went on tour with an orchestra and a gospel choir, and we basically took all of our songs and flipped them on their heads and stripped away all of the music that was there and did this tour called Reorchestrated, which is in the name. It was 2 buses, loads of musicians, a kind of weird mix of like kind of alternative band musicians and these amazing classical musicians and these gospel musicians, and it was such a fun experience, you know, kind of old school, just getting on these buses together, driving around and just making this very live music every night that was kind of growing and changing, and it made us look back at our songs in a slightly different way. The album and the songs and Joy ended up pulling in all these different voices from our friends, people we toured with, new young artists who were working in our studio, and a lot of the gospel musicians. This singer called Bim, who is an amazing gospel singer and has become a really good friend. Every night on tour, she'd have some bits where she sort of ad-libbed by herself, and we were all just so blown away by it. So I was like, I need some of that on this song because it makes me feel happy when I hear her voice. We kind of re-recorded the riff of the song at the beginning with her voice, and then got her to just sing a huge choir of vocals in the chorus, and it was one of those like eureka moments where suddenly the song made sense. So the song is about waking up on the kitchen floor at the end of this huge apocalyptic night. Your thoughts and worries about the world and your life and your future and all those anxieties come kind of flooding back in, as they do after a big night sometimes. And then it's about getting a phone call from that one person who is able to set your head straight and pull you back from the brink and potentially just take the mick out of you, take the piss out of you, and reframe everything so it doesn't seem so bad. And I think the message of the album, if there is a message to it, or the story of the album, is about trying to find solace and hope in other people and putting your phone down and disconnecting for a bit and losing yourself in friends and in other people for the night. And we look at phone addiction a bit on the album, and so there's a kind of weird irony in the fact that the optimism at the end comes from a phone call. But I think it's just about human contact. It's about the smallest gesture from a person can be overwhelmingly positive and can kind of save your morning, day, week, or whatever, or your life. And so that's sort of what it's about.